So welcome back, drifters. First things first, today it's kind of a windy day out. It's looking like we might be having a little bit of a storm. So hopefully the audio won't be too terrible. So if you remember from yesterday's video, my truck decided to spring a massive leak. And we all know how I feel about leaks. So it's looking like the power steering lines decided to just stop working. So we're gonna be replacing those first to see if that fixes the leak. So once we change out the lines, we're gonna check to make sure it's not the hydro boost leaking or potentially the steering gear down below. Hopefully it's just a line. It's just odd that the top of the hydro boost is actually covered in what appears to be grease and dirt, and that's usually a sign that it could be the hydro boost leaking. And for those of you that aren't familiar, a lot of the heavy duty trucks, they come with these units, and it's basically a hydraulically assisted booster. So some of the light duty trucks will get what's called a vacuum booster, but this one's run through the fluid from the power steering pump. So it's going to run from the power steering pump up into here, and then this is going to then run down through into a steering gear down there. But this actually makes the master cylinder work without much effort, or that's the way it's supposed to work. Obviously mine's not because it's leaking somewhere. You can see it's kind of dirty, especially if you look at the hydro boost from that side. So first things first, let's get to replacing these lines. I'm getting very efficient at jacking this truck up. I've had to do it like 10 times in the last 3 days. Boy, I tell you, it's not one thing, it's another. Definitely something leaking really bad on this side. So we're just gonna change out those hoses. You can see that there's a lot more access in here now that I got this open. So I should be able to get my wrenches in there. Should be a 18 and a 16. I could be wrong, but I'll let you know when I get them out. Guys, I found the culprit within 2 seconds. I didn't even have to start taking it off. Let me see if I can show you this. Okay, this might be kind of tricky to see. This hose is loose. I don't even know if you can see it, but it's not even tight. I wonder how long I've been driving this thing with a loose ass hose up there. Yes, I changed my hat because I don't want to get my other hat dirty. I love that hat. This one I don't really care too much about. How does that even come loose? Like I don't even know how that comes loose. Well, either way, I'm just gonna tighten that up. I'm just gonna replace it. If I'm gonna be there anyway, I may as well replace it. So I'll pull that one for sure, since we know that one's bad. And then we'll just see if there's any other ones leaking.
So getting these lines out was a lot harder than I anticipated. And I basically ran into an issue where the one line was holding the other one in.
So it might be kind of hard to see in there, but down around here there's 2 little spots on the steering gear that I'm getting off. I couldn't get the one off without taking the other, but luckily I'm replacing both lines anyway, because this one's just kind of floating out of the way, but it's kind of a pain. That's where the one up there goes. It's just a 16, and I was right, the ones down here are 18s, so I'm replacing those. And then under here, might be kind of hard to see, but there's this little spot right in here. Hopefully you can see that. It's hard to tell, but there's a little spot that I'm going to get to with some pliers to pull off a little rubber hose, and it's on the back side of the pump. It's very hard to get to. That's why I had to remove the intercooler piping. It's the only way I'd be able to get to it. So yeah, so I'll just get to pulling these lines. This is the one thing I don't miss about working on my nasty old truck, because I'll tell you, it gets everywhere. So we got those 2 lines out. Now all we got to do is we're going to put the new ones in. We'll see if it fixes our leak. Hopefully it does. If not, then we'll look at figuring out whether or not it's the hydro boost or if it's the actual steering gear. So get these new lines in and go from there. Alright, so I got the 2 lines that we're replacing right here. They're both AC Delco. There's the first part number. There's the second number. So I'll put links for all these in the description. I also replaced another high pressure hose prior to this. So I'll just put all 3 in there. Just if you're looking for the hoses, it'll be down in the description. But basically make sure you get OEM stuff, because you don't want to get some cheap aftermarket stuff that's just going to break on you, because as you can see, it's not a fun job to do. It's not a clean job to do, and it's not something you want to do more than once. So one line has 2 pressure fittings, right? The other line has a pressure fitting and a rubber hose. The line with the rubber hose goes closest to the frame rail. The one with the 2 high pressure lines go to the outside. That's really all you need to know, or just take a picture like I did so you can remember which side's for what. It's just kind of hard to see in there because everything looks basically the same. Pretty simple though. The only other thing you got to know about replacing these things is they come with an O-ring, and you want to make sure you put the O-ring on there, lube it up real good before you put it in, because if you do that wrong, you could end up crushing the O-ring and have a leak anyway, and it might not be because of anything besides a crushed O-ring. So make sure your O-rings are in good and that it's fully seated before you go to tighten this down. Because if you try tightening this down and using this to pull it on, you're gonna end up pinching the O-ring and giving you all kinds of problems. You don't want that. I don't want that. And I don't want that for you. So yeah, just be careful with your O-rings. So let's go put this sucker in. Oh man. Guys, I don't know what it is. Every time I go to do a vlog, it always turns into a how-to video. I'm trying to move away from how-to stuff and just strictly do vlogs. But when all you do is work on cars, it's kind of hard to like break the habit of, hey, here's how you do this, here's how you do that. I don't know. Maybe I could do like a little bit of both, you know, like, hey, here's how you do this, but also here's part of my life. I don't know. So anyway, I'm just gonna put this in. I've got the new O-ring on there, and I'm gonna put it in the hole and tighten it down. This is the one that goes to the back side where it's kind of tricky. We're just gonna kind of fit it in there and go from there.
So surprisingly, putting in the new lines went really smooth. And then after I got them in, I decided to use some engine degreaser and spray out most of the grime so that way we could see if we could find any leaks.
Alright, so now you get a better idea of where everything is. Now it's a little bit cleaner. So we got that line going all the way up to there, runs down all the way through, and then down into there. So it's pretty much all of it. So now I'm just gonna put the intake pipe back on, and then we're gonna run it and see if we have any leaks before we throw everything back together. Fingers crossed we're gonna be alright. Alright, so we got the intercooler pipe in there, so now all we gotta do is fill it up with some power steering fluid, and then we're just gonna check for leaks. If everything is good, we'll seal it up. If everything's bad, I'm just gonna cry. So let's do it. The one thing that I don't miss when it comes to working on older vehicles like this is just how dang dirty you get. Like, damn, I just wanted to go take a piss and I had to wash my hands for like half an hour. Whoa, I think I overfilled it. Whoops. Alright, so first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start the truck, and then we're gonna try to turn the wheel. So we're just gonna turn it and we'll see if that'll help bleed some of the stuff, but also so we can check once we get down there, see if there's any leaks. It already feels like, oh my gosh, my wheel feels so light. I'm not used to this. The other thing I'm doing, put my foot on the brake while I do this. And that should just help to force any air out. The other thing you can do to flush it is you get some like 5/16 hose and you put it up on the return line and you drain it to a drain pan. Problem is I don't have that hose, so right now I'm just doing this the old school way. We'll see if this works after a while. I'll let you know. Well, so far I checked under there, and looking at this, I don't see anything leaking out of there. This all seems fine. And especially under here, a lot of this is good. I don't see anything dripping or leaking yet, so I'm just gonna let it run, warm up, and I'll come back and look for leaks. But I think we might be okay. So I've had it running for a while. I don't see any leaks, so I'm gonna say it's good. I'm gonna seal it all up, and then we'll go take it for a quick test drive, see how it feels. But so far it feels pretty good just from sitting here. Let's find out. Well, so far I'd say it feels pretty good. The only downside I've noticed is there's a little bit of what feels like a dead spot, but that could just be from literally not having all the stuff bled. Hang on, we got a little po-po. But anyway, it feels pretty good. The main thing is the leak. I'm not too worried about exactly how it feels, because I mean, it's 350,000 miles. There's gonna be issues, but as long as I'm not leaking, I'll be happy. But only time will tell. So hopefully I'm gonna take it for a quick little jaunt, and when we get home we'll see if there's any leaks, and other than that, we'll see. Should be good. So I decided to park in this parking lot where it's basically wide open and easy to tell. It looks as though we're still leaking, so it's looking more like it's the steering gear than anything, but I don't have one yet, so I may have to get one. You can see that drip right down there, fresh as day. And looking at the location, it's right where the wheel is when you turn it. So most likely that's what the problem is, so that's more likely what I'm gonna be looking at getting. Oh well, you win some, you lose some. Listen to this. I don't know if you can hear that, but jeez. I don't know what the sound is, but it's not good. I need to check. Dang, Louie's making a lot of noise today, but it was pretty successful. So guys, I pretty much figured it out to being just a little bit of rust on the rotor, which was basically because I was an idiot and sprayed it with water. And the brake caliper dust shield was a little bit close, so I bent it out the way. It seems to be alright. So anyway, I hope this wasn't too much of a how-to. I kind of trying to get away from that, but for some weird reason, like every time I do something, I always feel like I gotta explain every little thing, and it's just, I don't know. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. That'll help for sure. But anyway, tomorrow we're gonna get a lot more work done. Hopefully get some stuff done on the RX-7 if I have time to. Otherwise, it's gonna be something with some of the projects. The whole goal is just make room so we can get the 67 Mustang in here and figure out exactly what we're doing. Right now I'm actually building a spreadsheet with the whole build and all the different parts and everything that we're gonna need so we can budget and kind of come up with that. So I might do a video on that too here pretty quick, because yeah, I just want to figure out where we're at and just kind of get things together. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys like this kind of stuff. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, dislike, you know the drill, and I'll be sure to see y'all in the next one. Just remember, keep it nice and easy.
And don't worry, it's going to be a long time before we run out of builds.